Perfect. We are recording as well. So, guys, again, welcome to the golf early signing period class. Again, for those of you who maybe I have not been able to meet with previously, my name is Chris Noble. I am one of the head men and women's golf recruiting coaches here with NCSA. And really, guys, what the whole point of this class is all about, we really wanted to focus on our 2018 golf, so our seniors, and explaining to you what the idea of the signing periods are, in terms of, I'm sure a lot of your friends might have, possibly be signing right now. Maybe if you haven't found a school, you might be panicking a little bit. First thing I'll say is don't panic. We still have time. So really, guys, what my goal is going to be here for us tonight is talking about, really what the signing periods are all about, what we need to be focused on over these fall, winter months recruiting-wise, and making sure that we're still able to maximize a lot of those opportunities for you to play golf at that next level, even throughout the next few months. Okay, so a little bit of background, guys, on myself. Again, from Michigan originally. Actually started doing junior events when I was really young, just about 6, kind of as you guys can see from my high school days. I was a 4-time member of the Michigan High School Athletic Association, the All-State team. In 2011, my senior year, I was the runner-up for the state finals. In terms of all-conference, 4-time member of the Southwest Michigan Athletic Conference, all-conference team, runner-up for a HAGA event back in 2010 there. It's kind of my claim to fame. And college-wise, actually played 4 years collegiately at Holy Cross College, across Notre Dame in South Bend, Indiana. Made it to the national championship my freshman year, 2-time academic All-American and 3-time Chicagoland Collegiate Athletic Conference all-academic team as well. So, again, guys, it's fun to be able to kind of give back to the next generation of college golfers such as yourselves. And again, guys, just kind of our game plan for tonight here, talking a little bit on the National Letter of Intent. What is it? What do I need to know about it? Signing periods and dates. In terms of, let's just say that, I want to get out of my NLI. What's the idea of a release, appeals? If I end up going to junior college, what should I be mindful of there? Contact information, and next steps, for some of my golfers, for you guys in here who might still be looking, for a program as well. And questions from you guys too. Preston, I think, but I'm not calling you out here, but I think I saw you come in. So as I was saying with the sir, we're going to go through the PowerPoint here together, and then actually at the end of the class, I will open it up for some questions as well. Okay? Perfect, guys. Well, with that, let's go ahead and jump right in here to some of the information. So, let's talk about some definitions, some groundwork here. So the National Letter of Intent, guys, or the NLI for short, basically what it is, it's an agreement, that binds you, the student-athlete, to an institution for one academic year. You are agreeing to attend that institution for one academic year, 2 semesters, or 3 quarters, depending on how the school works. And basically the institution, the college, university, is agreeing to provide you athletic scholarship, financial aid for 1 year, okay? So that's the first thing that you should really know and understand, that at the end of the day, by signing that, you are committing to yourself to compete and play and attend that school for at least 1 academic year, okay? For the NLI to be valid, you need a few things. It must be accompanied, first of all, by an athletic financial aid agreement, or in other words, an athletic scholarship. You would not be signing an NLI if you are not being awarded an athletic scholarship. Okay. Also needs to have your NCAA ID. So for hopefully everybody in here, you guys, if you are planning on playing at the NCAA Division I or II level, you have to be registered with something that's called the Eligibility Center. You will eventually get an ID number, which you can then give to not only coaches, but for something like the NLI, you would actually need to be registered with the Eligibility Center. Okay? Even if you guys are planning on going the junior college route, okay, in order to really play at a D1 or D2 school, so if you're looking to go the JUCO route for 1 year or 2 years, it would still be a good idea to be registered, because eventually for you to get in that D1 or D2 school a few years down the road, you have to have the NCAA ID. Okay. Also, you must not be signed prior to the signing date. So, as you guys probably are aware, the initial or kind of the early signing date, and there's a regular signing date. We'll talk about that in a moment. Really has to be signed, during those time periods, and also a parent or legal guardian to sign it as well if you guys are under the age of 21. Okay, so a little bit of groundwork there of understanding of what the NLI is and how it needs to be valid. Okay, now in terms of ways, guys, that it can be declared null and void or basically invalid would be another way of putting it. Denied admission to the college, university, basically you're not accepted. Okay. Also, it's in terms of what where we're standing in terms of academically, if we're not meeting the NCAA, whether it's the school itself or the conference, kind of the eligibility requirements, because normally the school, the conference, and also the NCAA, all those three levels are going to have certain requirements that we need to be meeting when you're absent. So basically that you, the signee, you guys are not enrolling for college for at least one academic year, 2 or 4 year school really doesn't matter, or the scholarship, and the scholarship is really no longer available. A big one here, guys, is if by chance the college or university that you're attending, if it discontinues your sport, basically it's no longer in existence. If that happens, again, your NLI is essentially done. It's null and void. Okay. Recruiting rules violation. Said signees' choice to null and void the the NLI in this situation. So there can always be in terms of a violation from a recruiting rules standpoint. So that might even be just giving you an example. Once you sign the NLI, technically speaking, you cannot be communicating or contacting with other coaches. Like if you would do that after you sign, that would be a recruiting rules violation, and the NLI could potentially go null and void or basically invalid. Okay, coaching change, guys, is the main thing for you to remember with this. If you sign an NLI, remember you're not signing with the coach, you're signing with the school. So even if the coach or somebody on the coaching staff were to leave, does not matter. You're still bound to that school by the provisions of your national letter of intent. Few kind of key pieces of info here. Coach contact, again, prohibited as signing. So remember, especially when it comes to the actual signing of the NLI itself, okay, coach or basically representative of the school cannot essentially hand deliver, the form itself off campus or basically not on school grounds of that college, or be present, during off campus at the time of the signing. Okay, so in essence, your high school. Let's just put it that way. Okay, the NLI can be delivered by express mail, FedEx, courier, regular mail, email, fax. Really doesn't matter. And it can be submitted to an institution by electronic means if permissible. So a lot of times, guys, what's going to happen is the NLI would generally be sent to somebody probably in your athletics office at your school or high school, and then again from there you'd be able to sign it, probably to your athletic director or somebody in the athletic department. They'll get it back to that college, university, make sure they have that on file. Okay. Now let's talk about some dates, guys. So again, as I was mentioning, right now we are for today and tomorrow in the early signing period. So in early signing period, it's November 8th through the 15th, tomorrow, and then there's a regular signing period for golf as well. So that is next April, okay, through August 1st of next fall. Okay, now a question that you might be having is saying, well, I am agreeing to play at a NCAA Division I or II school, and what happens if I agree to play for them, let's just say next month? Well, essentially what you're doing is you are verbally committing to that school. Okay, remember, a verbal commitment is not binding, but essentially the earliest that you could sign the scholarship and the NLI would be April 11th. Okay, so those are the two periods for a D1 or D2 school in order that you can sign that letter of intent. In terms of schools that are basically use it, this national letter of intent, there's 650 NCAA D1 and 2 institutions. Okay, and levels, again, guys, not affected by the NLI. If by chance you would be planning to compete and play at an Ivy League school, service academies, so Army, Navy, things like that. Division III, and NAI, prep schools or junior colleges, all those levels, guys, do not use the NLI. Easiest way to probably think about it, again, just by looking at that. So a lot of your, Division I, II programs, other than Ivy League or service academies, those are the programs that would use it, okay? So just trying to keep that in mind as well. Now, let's talk about appeals, especially when it comes to, okay, we have signed it, and what needs to happen in case you might want to get out of your national letter of intent during your first year. Okay, so requests, guys, must be initiated by you, or the signee, by submitting a national letter of intent release request online. To find that, I would just suggest going to the National Letter of Intent website. It's actually a really good website. They've updated it quite a bit. It's really easy to navigate. You'll see there pretty clearly of what page you need to go to, what information you need to fill out. Okay. Now, the school or college institution may release you from your obligation. Now, remember, it's basically up to the institution to grant a release or not. A lot of times, guys, reasons that a school there might have been, let's just say, in terms of an illness with you, maybe there was a family member who is ill, maybe passed away, whatever it might be. So a lot of times it's not just because, just giving you an example, that you're homesick, right? A lot of times it's probably not going to be a issue enough that would be granted a release. But again, it's a case-by-case basis. It's really difficult to say exactly, what would fall under yes and what would fall under no. So just keep in mind, it is under the institution's discretion. It's ultimately up to them. And the release is not the same as NCAA permission to contact. So NCAA permission to contact, guys, basically if you would be at a college or university and you would be looking to transfer, okay, you essentially need to get that permission to contact in order to talk to other colleges or universities to see if you can become part of their program. It's not the same thing. They're each separate, okay? Releases cannot include conditions to be released to specific institutions. So basically, it's not something that would grant just one certain school. It would either be a full release or it wouldn't be released. It's either one or the other. Okay. Now, a statistic to think about too, guys, in case you're worried that might happen. You remember, there's over 40,000 really, basically your guys' shoes, prospective student athletes that sign NLIs for D1, D2 schools, and really less than 1% request release. So it is rare. And really, guys, my biggest piece of advice for you is only sign that NLI if you are 100% certain, right? Because it is going to really give you at least 1 year to be at that institution, and there is a lot of red tape, a lot of difficulties that come from not only getting that NLI release, but also when it comes to transferring. It's possible, but remember, it's not a perfect science. So, just really make sure that there's no doubt in your mind that you definitely want to be at that school. Okay. Now, let's talk briefly here on the idea of junior college and the NLI. So, all junior college prospective student athletes must have a NCAA ID. So, again, what I mean by that is comes from the eligibility center. So, essentially, once you do register, again, that's just taking your academic information from your high school. You will be given an ID number, which again you could share with other coaches or with instances such as the NLI. And enrolling in a junior college, the NLI, basically, guys, in terms of some groundwork here, you must graduate from the junior college to satisfy the NCAA 2-4 transfer or the 4-2 transfer rules. What do I mean by that? So let me stop for a minute. So let's just say that you guys would start at a D2 institution, okay? And let's just say you get NLI with the school, and a semester into it, you're not happy, okay? And you look into then transferring to a junior college. Now, in order for that NLI to be null and void, okay, you would essentially have to not only go to that junior college, but graduate from there. If you would graduate from that junior college, okay, after leaving from that you signed the NLI with, essentially it's going to be null and void. So if you graduate from that junior college after leaving that first institution that you signed that NLI with, you don't have to get a release, anything like that. Basically, that satisfy the requirements, and that first NLI is null and void. Okay. And again, guys, this does get pretty tricky, so trying to look also at the NCAA, the transfer guide, for more information is really helpful. So just even going on Google and kind of checking out that page would really be helpful as well. Okay. And then really, guys, when it comes to enrolling in a junior college without signing a national letter of intent, you can sign that intent while attending a junior college if you are a qualifier. So again, what I mean by that would be from a academic standpoint, you have the correct GPA, you've taken the right amount of courses, test scores. So again, there's a lot of provisions that go into that. Now, a non-qualifier, so again, basically you didn't meet the requirements academically or course load-wise, whatever it might be, they cannot sign that NLI in the first year of junior college enrollment. You really have to attend that for at least 3 semesters or 4 quarters. Okay, so main idea here, guys, especially when it comes to this national letter of intent and the junior college route, if you are planning to go to a JC for the first year or two and then planning to eventually play for a D1 or D2 program, I would just suggest having that NCAA ID number. So make sure you register with the Eligibility Center, and that way, especially farther down the road when you do look at that D1 or D2 school, we'll have that, and you'll be able to provide that information for that next program they're planning to play at. Okay, and from a transfer standpoint, guys, like I said, just trying to give you some groundwork here. You can probably tell it does get pretty confusing, so I would always encourage you to look at that transfer guide, and the NCAA does have a legislative office that you can call into as well. It can really provide you some good information there too. Okay. Now, in terms of some information here, guys, for the National Letter of Intent, again, they're their own entity. It's its own organization. If you guys want to jot down the phone number, that's kind of their main line, its main fax number. That's a website. Again, it's very, very good. It's updated, pretty simplistic to the most it can be, right? As you guys are seeing, there's quite a few ins, quite a few outs when it does come to this. So I would encourage you guys to take a look at the website. They actually have a really nice kind of a tutorial, kind of a video. It's about 10, 15 minutes long that can really give you guys some good information there too. So I would encourage you guys to definitely check out some information on their website. And then really, guys, in terms of my golfers in here who are not signing that national letter intent, basically now, right, in November. So a few ground rules here. First thing, guys, do not panic, okay? So there's still time to develop interest. Now, what I would say is we need to be on the horn, because from a golf standpoint, winter months are pretty active. So November to December, January, and February, it's an active time for a lot of these coaches because they are not in season. They just have more time on their hands from a recruiting standpoint. So really hitting hard on our emails, on our phone calls. You can go on any visits. Let's do it. Again, if I know for a lot of you that are up north, probably tournaments are kind of coming to a close, but if potentially you can go anywhere down south, get in a tournament or two, that would look great on the resume. Make sure that you're finishing things out, well in the classroom. If you guys are looking to retake that ACT or SAT, let's make sure that we do that. Hopefully get those scores up a little bit. A lot of times that can kind of translate into some more academic scholarship for you too. Connections. It's what this game is all about. It's about building relationships with these coaches. So again, making sure that we're emailing, we're following up with these coaches, we're being proactive with them, not waiting for them to contact us. We're contacting them. And really, guys, throughout your senior year, for the most part, especially from a standpoint, NAI and D3 programs, junior colleges as well, lower level D2s, those are programs that are actively recruiting throughout a player's senior year, so really focusing on. And remember, guys, even if you would start at an NAI or D3 program, don't look at that and say, well, I have to be there for 4 years. I'm a product of an NAI school myself. Had a teammate of mine from Canada for us for 2 years, played very well, and ended up transferring and is now one of the better golfers at the University of Nevada. So you can always look at that as a springboard opportunity as well. It really, guys, developing this interest, it's vital. And remember, the NCSA account is a great starting point, but remember, it doesn't, just by having it, it doesn't stop there. We have to still get our name out there. We still have to be the ones that are contacting these coaches, emailing them, updating them. So really taking that proactive approach, I promise you, that will pay off for you in the long run. Okay. Now, guys, in terms of questions, especially tonight here, we do have, again, that's kind of our main office line, our recruiting help at SA Sports, really, really helpful for for a lot of those main questions that you guys might be having as well. Now, what I would like to do here tonight, guys, in a brief moment, is just kind of open it up for kind of the folks here that you guys. I appreciate your time that you were able to make the class here tonight, and I definitely have some time, and I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you might have. Before we do that, guys, what I am actually going to send over here right now. And if you see that chat box that's up in front of you, there you should have just saw a link kind of pop through there. So what that link is, guys, it's essentially just a really brief survey that we have trying to ensure that ultimately we're providing you and your families the best tools for your recruiting. So if you had just 20 seconds or not, even as we're talking, you guys are ask questions, please definitely fill that out and just make sure that we are really providing you the best tools. Really appreciate that, as well. So, guys, with that, and I appreciate you filling out that link for me too, I would like to open this up for some questions. So please, by all means, feel free to use that chat box. And definitely have some time here for us, and want to make sure I'm able to answer any questions that you guys might have here this evening as well. Time to. I do hope some of this information was helpful as well. And it all, guys. Got no good, no bad question, right? Okay, go. Love it. Awesome, guys. Okay, question from. Here we go. Everyone says to wait for an official visit. We have had lots of coaches interested, and they ask, are we allowed to ask for a visit that they pay for? Good question, Donna. So when it comes to visits, as long as, as I'm sure you guys are in your senior year, a school is able to provide that official visit. Now, the first thing I'll say, Donna, from a golf standpoint, a lot of times golf is a smaller sport, so the budgeting limitations many times won't really allow a coach to provide that many official visits. It never hurts to ask. The way to phrase it would just be like, Coach, absolutely, I would love to come and visit. By chance, would there be any opportunity or availability to help defer, some of the costs from a travel or lodging standpoint, and so they come back with. Because, if a coach can help you guys pay, especially if you're traveling across country, flying, driving, whatever it might be, that's a huge help. So a lot of times down to just the nature of golf and really the smaller budgeting limitations, official visits are more rare than, let's say, like a bigger sport like football or basketball happen. And my suggestion for you guys is, especially if a coach is asking for you to come visit, by all means do so, but at the same time, definitely ask if they would have the opportunity to help provide some help to the family from a travel or even lodging standpoint. So that helps. Good question, though. Question from Andrew here. Okay, I have some scholarship offers, but I'm also waiting for other colleges to see if they admit me. What would be my timing? And I'm glad you brought that up. So really, guys, when it comes to a coach that would be providing a scholarship, the first thing that I really want you to keep in mind, first thing you should always say is, hey, thanks, coach. Wow, this is great. What opportunity, really appreciate confidence in me. The biggest thing that I would say is try to make sure you understand the details of the offer. So in terms of that scholarship, Esther, is it for only 1 year? Is it a multi-year offer? Is it a specific dollar amount? Is it a percentage based on the total cost of the school? Are there, any, is there anything that I need to get in even from a admission standpoint? Make sure I'm in good standing, admitted to the school, okay? The big thing I would say for you is to ask the coach for a deadline so you are perfectly clear on really when a decision needs to be made on your end, okay? So I think the coach provided you that, but even if a coach would come back and say, hey, no hurry, take your time aside, follow up on that and try to ask for some timeline to follow and say, coach, what if, can you give me till the end of this month? Can you give me to the end of the year? The big thing is, Esther, try not to take too much time, because if you take too much time, that's going to be an indication to the coach that you're probably not that interested. So by means, feel free to ask for, a week, a month, I would say at the most. But before you would do that, ask the coach on their end, you have a deadline, okay? And if they would come back and say, hey, no hurry, take your time, try to ask for a timeline and have a date in your mind that you would need to really make that final decision by. Does that make sense? Hope it does. Let me know if that doesn't as well. Okay. Have a question from Preston. Are any Division I schools still recruiting, or is it 2, 3, and NAI at this point? It's good. Okay. Say, Preston, that there are none. I'm confident that I'm sure there's probably a handful. Let's say that. Now, the one for you to keep in mind, Preston, is there could be an opportunity for you, let's say, at a D1 school where maybe there isn't any scholarship money available at this team. However, you can still be part of the program, but you would probably have to wait maybe a year until receiving a scholarship, because for the most part, Preston, a D1 school, just generally because they typically recruit the best talent, they're recruiting 2, if not 3 years out. So it would be very rare to see a D1 coach with any scholarship money left at this point. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it would be rare. So if there's a D1 school that you would be interested in, I would still encourage you to reach out to if you haven't before. But if you would be willing to, let's just say, walk on or be part of the team without a scholarship, let that be known clearly to the coach, okay? So that way they can maybe come back and say, well, you know what, I don't have anything available scholarship this year. You can still be part of the team, try to play your way on, and see what happens next year. But from a scholarship standpoint, Preston, yes, lower D2s, D3s, NAIs at this point, if you are still looking for that scholarship opportunity for next fall, generally speaking, that is where you will find it. I hope that helps answer your question. Let me know if it doesn't, okay? Question answer. Okay, but that doesn't clear my doubt. I do really want to see how many schools accept me before committing to anyone, so what's that timeline? And answer, it's really difficult to say, Bud. I can't just give you a date and say, okay, January 1st or, March 1st or whatever it might be, because it really just doesn't work that way. When it comes to a coach, right, the only person who knows the timeline for that offer is the coach. I don't know. Really nobody else would know but that coach. So that's why you need to go to them and really ask them, okay, what's the deadline? When do you need a final answer by? So that way, even in the meantime, Bob, what I would suggest for you, because like you're saying here, you want to see how many schools accept you before committing. So get your applications in. Let's get them now, right? Because November, December, January is kind of when things get, kind of near the end. A lot of programs, so we want to try to get in as many of these applications by the end of the year. And my best advice for you, Esther, is just making like a really simple, like let's just say Excel spreadsheet or a Word document and put, okay, school A has given me an offer. This is when I need to make an answer by. School B has not given me an offer, so on and so on. So that way you can really keep track of things, okay? Generally speaking, like I said, if a coach gives you an offer, that an answer with is going to be a sign to them that you don't want it. So I would not let any time more than a month go by until you would give that coach a firm answer. So just so I'm clear on this, add line. If they don't give it to you, ask them for a timeline to follow, okay? If you haven't gotten your application in for that school that the coach has given you the offer and you want to go there, get it in. Okay, so make sure that you are accepted, everything is squared away at that time. And also, if the coach says, Esther, I'm going to give you a few weeks or I'm going to give you to the end of the year, in the meantime, talk with any coach that you haven't talked to previously that you still are considering and make sure you do get in your applications for that school. So that way you can weigh the positives, you can weigh the negatives, and really say, all right, based on this information in front of me, this is going to be the best choice for me next fall. I hope that helps. Let me know, but that helps. Quiana, can you talk about schools offering a new program? What does it mean when a school has never had a women's golf program, good opportunity or not so good? I'm glad you asked that. So really, Donna, when it comes to a new program, the thing that I would normally point you toward is the coach, because the coach can really make or break it. Which is, if you meet with them, see them in person, talk with them on the phone, he or she, are they motivated? What other players are they recruiting for next fall? What are their goals for the team, right? Because if you get a coach in there that's, really motivated and a go-getter and, hey, this is going to be awesome, it could be an awesome opportunity. I mean, it really, really could be. But at the same time, if you're getting a coach in there that's just kind of doing it to do it, they're really not that motivated and it was almost like a, just kind of an opportunity that fell in their lap, I would probably point you elsewhere because the last thing you want to do is trying to be part of a newer program like that, and it's almost, for lack of a better term, kind of like a babysitting service. I'm not saying there are some coaches out there like that. So, the biggest thing for you guys to be doing is get with the coach, talk with them, ask some questions. Okay, what are their goals? Where do they see this program being in a few years? Who are some other players that the coach is recruiting? So you can really get a sense of, all right, they got a clear goal of where this program needs to be, what other players, are going to be coming in during the period, and then you can really gauge. Personally, I'm a big fan of newer programs, but probably the most important thing for you to have is a good captain at the helm, right? A good coach to really steer the ship in the right direction. Other questions here tonight? Again, we still have a little bit of time, so good. These are questions too. Try not to call you out here, but if you have any questions, feel free to in the chat box too. Okay. Is there anywhere of programs that still have spots? here's how I'm going to answer that question. Now, when it comes to your NCSA profile, Charlotte, I'm going to point you in a few directions here, okay? First spot that I'm going to point you in the direction of is under the Find Colleges tab, a spot that's called Roster Openings. The way about roster openings, they're kind of like an open job listing. Essentially what it is, it's a coach to us at NCSA and letting us know that they have an opportunity for next fall. Okay, so look there, and a lot of times the coach will lay out what they need academically, what they need golf-wise. And my suggestion to you is if you're meeting or very close to meeting those requirements, by all means reach out to that coach and try to pursue that opportunity. Another spot that's going to be on that Find Colleges tab too is the spot that's called Coach Requests. So that may not be quite as specific as the roster openings page, but it still will give you an idea of what these coaches at a certain program are looking for from an academic and a golf resume standpoint. Okay. Another thing to also look at if you're looking at a certain school, for instance, on whatever school, on your My Colleges page, whatever it might be, a lot of times there will be a spot under your match analysis page where it'll say coaches on staff are recruiting, for from your state, whatever it might be. So trying to look at that, if let's just say a coach is done recruiting, or if they're not recruiting from your certain area, it will clearly say that in the match analysis page. Charlie, the easiest way for you to really figure it out, though, on top of the roster openings and coach requests, when you are emailing a coach, make sure you ask some questions. So what I mean by that is trying to ask them what their recruiting needs are for 2018 grad year. In other words, are they still recruiting? If they're not, a lot of times they'll come right out and say it, Charlie, thanks so much for your email, but unfortunately at this time we are not still recruiting for your grad year. So that way we have the answer to that. So openings, coach requests, look at that analysis page. But if a certain program and maybe it isn't on any of those sections or we don't necessarily have that information, we are going to reach out to the coach. But by asking the right questions and what their needs are, basically, if there'd be an opportunity for next fall, coming and asking that clearly, that's going to save you a lot of time, a lot of effort, and make sure that one, you have an opportunity, and two, if you do, kind of where our game has to be, or what we have to accomplish academically, golf-wise, to be considered for that program. So I know that wasn't as probably the answer necessarily you were looking for, but I hope those suggestions kind of give you an idea that you can use your NCSA profile to kind of find some of those schools that really still are. You're welcome. Okay, so we have Preston here. We have emailed coaches that mention having spaces on the roster, and we meet their criteria, but they don't call or email back any suggestions. Yep. So, Preston, unfortunately, bud, this is just it's an unfortunate reality when it comes to recruiting. So, it's going to take more than one or two sometimes emails to get through these coaches. My suggestion for you is, let's just say it's a program that you've tried emailing. We've done that and we've heard nothing back from the head coach. Try the assistant coach if you haven't previously. If they have a director of golf, make sure you reach out to them too. But the next step would be calling. Okay, so average guys receive upwards of 100 emails a day, but a lot of times they receive less than 10 phone calls a week. So it's a very easy way to kind of stand out. And really, Preston, remember what I said in the beginning of being proactive in this? So trying to call, I would definitely suggest that. A last scenario that you could try is social media. A lot of coaches are on Twitter or Facebook, so you can always try to direct message them. I'd leave that as kind of a last resort. But remember, because you have one unanswered or one unopened email from a coach, that doesn't mean that they're not interested. So really trying to go the email route, try phone call. If we reached out 4 or 5 times and we're still hearing nothing back, my suggestion to you is move on. Look at the coaches who are the most active with you communicating-wise are truly the ones who are the most interested, right? If coaches are interested in you, they'll be giving you their time. So, guys, I have time for one more question. if anybody has anything else that they might want to add, free. All right, guys. Well, I think that might do it for us here tonight. I don't think anybody else has any other questions. So I really appreciate your time, guys. I wish you nothing but the best here this fall. My biggest piece of advice for you is good attitude with this, stay active, stay proactive, and I promise you, there are opportunities still out there for you. We just have to really be persistent with a lot of these coaches. Utilize tools on your CSA account. It's why we're here for you. And again, like I said, our team of recruiting coaches, kind of that number I provided with you at the end, and I will be sending out a recording, guys, of this class. So if you do want to kind of go back to the PowerPoint or look at any information that might have been in there, you can absolutely do so. Guys, thanks for your time. Hope you have a great rest of the evening and a happy holiday season to you and your family as well. Much.